Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by my guy on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. We are taking y'all through the Thursday night NBA playoffs as these playoffs roll on. Really, really good games shaping up. Some blowouts, but that double overtime game versus the Nugs versus the Blazers was super compelling. An ode to Dame there, a game that we will actually be talking about another game 6 here in just a minute. If you still do need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find all those local listings in your area and make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Jump in the comments. We're going to have a gift card prop for you here next show after we see what happens with the results of our current in progress Clippers prop that we offered you guys yesterday for the combined total of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So we'll offer another one here in another show coming up. But as for now, Nate, let's jump into those lines for Thursday night's games.
Yeah, it starts at 8 p.m. if you're on the East Coast with the Nuggets +5 as we go back to Portland. Total is 228. Nuggets are +175 as underdogs there. And the Suns are +2 as they try to close out the Lakers in LA. Total is 207 there, and the Suns are +115 underdogs. And I think we have to just take a moment and break down what we saw on Tuesday night for a second, which would just kind of blew my mind on multiple angles. I mean, first of all, just LeBron James, does he have anything left? Is he just injured? We'll get to that later. But then just Damian Lillard, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, the closest thing for anyone who remembers Tracy McGrady getting those 13 points in 30 seconds back in the day. I think that was a regular season game, though, that had little consequences and was more of a fluke than Dame just showing the entire arsenal. Just an unbelievable performance. But the thing is, as we look to the next game, I think that hurts Portland more than anything, just the way it went down. Denver now survived the onslaught, has the momentum, and yet they're underdogs. I mean, it's a case of everything went wrong in terms of guarding Damian Lillard, but they still survived, and they did a great job denying everybody else. Those role players, everyone but Dame actually, just went 1 for 14 from the floor in overtime. Robert Covington, nice job missing 2 point-blank layups by trying to throw them down. But in any case, I just don't know if Portland is going to be able to rebound from this. They do. It does all depend on Jusuf Nurkic, as it has in every game this series. When he fouls out, they lose. And the fact that he fouled out, just the way he fouled out, was just so moronic. It made me wonder if they're what Terry Stotts is doing. Is there communication? Is there discussion about how important that is? It's a legal screen. There's 4:30 left, and Nurkic's immediate reaction next time down the floor is to try to emphatically block somebody, just forcing the issue to foul out. In any case, the Blazers are way, way worse defensively when he's not on the floor. He's especially crucial in this matchup, obviously, because of Jokic. So I think he will do a better job staying on the floor, but we're still looking at a Blazers team that's 24th in defensive rating and went 9-10 at home after the All-Star break. They're just 11-17 against the spread when favored at home. So as we've seen in almost every game this series, I'm liking the over. The over has hit in 8 of the last 10 playoff games between these guys. The Nuggets just 121 offensive rating in the fourth quarter throughout this entire series. And they're 27-12 at home this season, third best offensive efficiency. I mean, numbers not all across the board. Average 117 points per game after a win at home, and their team total is sitting at just 111.5. There's just a lot of overs to like here, and the Nuggets, a lot of value to get for them to win this game, which I think they should be favored in. I don't really understand where that's coming from. And you just put those two together, Nuggets and the over 228, and that's plus 385 at DraftKings. I might go ahead and fire away at that right after this show.
I like it. Yeah, I think totals is what I'm going to attack as well. Definitely both team totals and then the game there. One thing, if you are going to touch upon the actual spread itself, to consider is I do think that this will be a close game. I think, the reason you're seeing, the Blazers favored there is that everybody expects, no matter what, for this series to go 7 games. And this would fall right in line with what the expectation was from the beginning, which is there would be a game 6 in Portland, and that would turn into a game 7 after Portland was able to pull it out. So regardless, I do think that this should be a close game. We could see the Blazers come out firing, but I feel comfortable potentially teasing this game with the Nugs, teasing them up actually, and then go ahead and actually also tease that with that same game that night, which I'll transition to by saying I think it's going to be close as well. That's why I would actually feel comfortable teasing the Suns up. Because I do think, it's all coming down to injuries right now, as it has been for most of this series, actually, which is kind of unfortunate. Even though it's been a pretty good series, it hasn't been a great series, to be honest. And that's due to the health specifically of AD and Chris Paul. So, we have no AD in game 5. That obviously was the reason that it was a 30-point blowout before, we could even start watching the game, some of us. And then, CP3 actually goes down in the middle of that third quarter. And that it's not really a turning point. It was already a 33-point game, but it was halfway through the third. He did not return, and it looked to be pretty serious. So, not really, there's not much of an expectation that he's going to be that much better 2 days later. And if that is the case, then, that kind of really that levels things greatly, because even if AD does play, he's a game time decision as we're recording this on Wednesday night. He's expected to play, honestly, from the standpoint of he was trying to play in game 5 and was kept out by the medical staff. And I think that bodes well for, his ability to be on the floor for this game. How much of an impact he'll actually have, I do not know. I still feel good about the Lakers from the standpoint that I do think there was a little bit of calculation with LeBron once that game was out of hand and out of reach. There wasn't much to play for, for him. He actually went back to the locker room with about 5 minutes left, which a lot of people are going to make a huge deal about. But most importantly, I think he gave up well before that because he knew that it wasn't really going to be their night and that he needed to save what he had for game 6, which he may or may not have AD, with the hope that he would for sure have him in game 7. So I think this is going to be a game where LeBron is going to be able to pull them through, especially because he's going to get the help from guys like KCP, Schroeder, Kuzma, and Drummond and the like, which he did not receive much of that from them last game. Obviously, that was honestly the turning point, right? Was the fact that when you look at what the Lakers did, what their role players did, Schroeder and KCP had 0 points. Drummond did his thing where he got those worthless rebounds that anybody could get because he's 7 feet tall standing next to the basket. And honestly, I'm looking for guys like that and Kuzma to really increase their production for this game, specifically when you just look at the difference in how they play at home, which is usually the expectation for role players. But if you look at the combined difference in how many more points between Schroeder, Schroeder, Kuzma, Harrell, and Drummond, how much they all average at home. They average 10 more points combined at home than on the road. So you can't expect that. I do think this is a game where we could see an over 207.5 in this game, despite the fact that obviously it's really important and people are going to clamp down. I still think Booker is something that I'm going to target as well in terms of his props. I do think CP3 as well, he'll be limited, which means you've got Devin Booker also as a playmaker now instead of just a wing scorer. So you can feel a lot more comfortable about him, getting a lot more assists, and playing on the ball a lot more. So his points, rebounds, and assists I'd look at. And then look, LeBron James, you've got to expect him to come out in this game, especially at home. Like I said, if you think there was some calculation and how much he kept reserved for in terms of energy from not playing that hard in game 5, which I think is a pretty legit narrative, then you would expect him to come out hugely in game 6 and at least give them an opportunity with a hopefully healthy AD in game 7. I do feel comfortable taking their points, but like I said, if you want to go ahead and tease that up, go ahead and give them 4 points, and then go ahead and do the same with the Nugs. I would feel good about that as well.
Yeah, look, I'm fine doubling down on LeBron props in this game, and that's as far as I'm willing to go with the Lakers. I mean, just what you said. Yeah, he realized pretty early that it wasn't their night. He realized pretty early that his guys were absolutely sleepwalking. Like, it was a disaster. Dennis Schroeder turned down like 6 open threes in the opening minutes. And Drummond and Markieff Morris looked like turnstiles on defense. I mean, this is really, Frank Vogel has to come up with a lot of adjustments. Like, I'm talking about throwing out a different lineup, get Caruso in there, do something, because it was just not looking good. And the chemistry is going to be an issue for these Lakers because they've been in and out of the lineup, because their stars have not been healthy. And now you might have AD out there, shuffling around on one leg. It's going to be a really strange adjustment. I actually favor the Suns more even without Chris Paul, because Cameron Payne is a very good backup, and they have Devin Booker, who's the only healthy superstar, or on an ascending superstar in this game. And I mean, just all the rest of their starting lineup, they're just outplaying the Lakers unbelievably. I mean, I agree, the Lakers can come back and make this a game and keep it close, but I would not be betting on them to win. I would be betting on LeBron to show that he still has something left, that he's not just going to go out with a whimper. But remember, 2 years ago, without AD, these Lakers did not even make the playoffs. And this supporting cast around LeBron is much worse than that supporting cast that he could not drag to the playoffs. Without Anthony Davis, who maybe is the most versatile defender in the league, I would go right ahead and take the over at 207. Yeah. And then I would take the Suns and the over, and you get plus 300 on DraftKings, and expect them to have their way offensively again.
Damn, no, I'm with it. Potentially attack those team totals. I think the question is this LeBron supporting cast better than that Cavs team that he dragged to the finals in like 2017? Questionable, but we'll see if he's still the same LeBron as he was that year, as we continue to see him potentially be a bit hobbled. Either way, two games that I know we'll all be glued to the TV for this Thursday night. We will be back with another video and potential gift card opportunity for you guys on the Friday slate. As for tonight, though, happy betting.